What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Garrett. I'm a 7-figure OA and wholesale Amazon seller, showing you all how you can make a living off Amazon as well. In today's video, we're doing an in-depth product analysis just to get you guys familiar and comfortable with some of the touch points and aspects that we're looking at when it comes to product research, each and every product. And today's product has a ton of applicable aspects that will apply to a lot of Amazon products. But with that being said, stick around for the video. We'll hop into my screen and I'll show you exactly what we're talking about.
Cool, so we'll get right into the product analysis. Now, I picked this specific product because it has pretty much everything going on that you would run into when you're looking at different types of Amazon products. And there's a lot of application that we can take this from this specific analyzation and apply in other products that we encounter in our Amazon business. First and foremost, this is the first thing that I'm drawn to, right? There's different variations under this specific parent listing. Now, that's important because SellerAmp gives us this 551 estimated sales per month, and there's a sales rank as well. But those both correspond to the accumulation of all the sales going to each individual variation. Point being, we have to decipher which variation is gaining and contributing what percentage of this, call it 600 sales per month. Right, so that's step one. Identify in comparison to the specific variation that we have in mind in purchasing. It could be size, it could be shoes, it could be clothes, color, styles, whatever we're looking in grocery, there are going to be variations that you run into, right? And so the first step is to decipher what percentage of the overall velocity is contributing to that sales velocity. So if we come down here and we go into the variations tab, what Keepa allows us to do is gain some sort of perspective in terms of relative velocity across variations. And we have a breakdown of the percentage of ratings that are going to each variation, right? And so we can correlate that to relative velocity, right? So if we see 65% of all the reviews across this listing are going to this specific variation, then we can safely assume that about 65% of sales are also going to this variation, right? If we have this 32-ounce supplement in mind, about 20%, about a fifth of all the sales are going to this variation. So we can then come up here and say, okay, out of the 551 sales per month, about 20% of them are going to this specific variation. So what does that mean? And so that's going to give us about 100-ish, 120, somewhere in that range, sales going to this specific variation. That's step one, identifying what piece of the pie is available if we were going into this specific variation. Now, step two is to identify what sort of competition we'd be going up against. Now, in this case, we have, it looks like about 9 to 10 sellers at this point. We want to see got to gain a perception in terms of what price point they're all at. Competitive sellers anywhere between 10% above or below what the current buy box is. And so we wouldn't really deem these two sellers competitive. So it looks like our price is at $36.84. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 or 8, but somewhere between 6 and 8 competitive sellers based on the price points. Now, what we really want to identify is of those 6 to 8 competitive sellers, are there any sellers that are holding a majority of the buy box? Any seller that would significantly skew the 100, 120 thereabouts sales that are going to this variation. Now, in this case, looks like about 60-65% are going to this Happy Pet Store seller. And so we can't then assume that out of the 100, 120 sales that are going to this variation, they're going to be split evenly because the data shows that they're not. So if we then round up, about 50% is going to Happy Pet Store, we're no longer working with a sample size of 100 or 120 going to this variation. Now we're down to about 50 or 60, right? The other thing that's worth noting in this specific example is this proves that Amazon rewards longevity and long ownership of specific listings in the buy box. Right? We see Happy Pet Store came in here 180 days ago at 21%. They stayed in stock. Now they're at 26. They continue to stay in stock. Now they're at 64. So this just goes to prove, and it's one example that the longer you stay in stock, the higher your in-stock percentage is on a specific product, the better off and the higher your buy box percentage is going to be. Right? So that's why I'm so heavy on restocking and replenishability, because the data shows Amazon rewards that with their buy box ownership. Right, and so getting back to this example, we started with about 120 sales going to this specific variation. we can safely assume about 50-60% of those are going to one specific seller. So now we're left with about 50 sales. Next point, right, is we want to identify the specific price point. And now in this case, we don't have a specific buy box that we're going to be a specific buy cost that we're comparing to. This is just for kind of example sake, argument's sake. So say, the buy box is trending at 37. We would want to be priced at 37 to compete. And so with that being said, take about 36.84. We would have to be buying somewhere between $18 to make this work. But the key point is, right, if we were saying buying for $18 or profiting $6 per unit, we want to have a sense of the increased value that this product is going to generate for our business, right? And so we're down to about, now going back to the velocity piece, if we're looking at about 40-60 sales split across 6 other sellers, right, competitive sellers, minus the majority holder, we're only potentially looking at about 5 to 10, maybe 15 sales per month that we can potentially claim. Now, if we're only working with about $6 profit per unit, multiply that by 10 sales potentially a month, this product would only potentially benefit me, $60, $70, somewhere in that range per month, each and every month, if we were to stay in stock. Now, that could be good, that could be bad for you. For my business, I'm looking to expect at least $400 or $500 of increased value, of profits, of revenue. Not saying profit and revenue is the same, right? Of profits per product we bring into our catalog. And so for me, this product wouldn't work because the volume isn't there. The profit would be good if we could buy for 18, but the overall picture, volume times profit, the overall gain of bringing this product into the catalog simply wouldn't necessarily make sense in our business. Now, the same thing applies, right? That's the entire process of going through and looking at a specific product. Now, one key point still remains, right? You may be wondering what this orange means, right? This orange space symbolizes and signifies that Amazon was in stock and is in stock. Now, the key point here is when Amazon's in stock, it looks like they own the buy box, right? We could see that pink box. Their buy box is going to Amazon most of the time. Now, it's worth noting that currently Amazon is not in stock, but if we scroll up, because Amazon's been in stock for such a long period of time, we have no way of knowing that Amazon will remain out of stock. They could come back in stock tomorrow and throw the whole market into shambles, right? They would come back in stock, pretty much probably own complete ownership of the buy box and essentially ruin the market. So there's a lot of negative aspects working against us with this specific product. One being the lack of velocity, 2 being the major buy box holder kind of skewing the market, 3 being Amazon having a history of being in stock, again, threatening to come back in stock. We typically just avoid Amazon in the picture altogether, but it's worth noting that the risk here is if Amazon comes back in stock, that would be a big problem for the future of this specific product. That wraps up this kind of entire product analysis. That's really a step-by-step basis, and you can kind of take aspects of that and apply them to different products that you're looking at. With that being said, guys, that wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had found a value from it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.